Hi, my name is Robert Boyer. I'm a researcher at RISE Research Institutes of Sweden, and I'm a member of the Hållbar Interiör Consortium. This quick video offers a tour of the Hållbar Interiör educational modules. To access the modules, please email Kristin Östberg at kristin.ostberg@indicum.se. More information on the modules can be found at the Hållbar Interiör website under the utbildning section. There are 5 educational modules designed to last between 20 and 30 minutes. The lessons are also designed for live lecture, whether in person or online. These lessons probably won't work for asynchronous learning because there's a lot of interaction involved, which I'll discuss in a second. The lessons can be delivered in Swedish or English, and there are different slides that can be downloaded for Swedish or for English. The modules are also designed for active and reflective learning. That means that students will be expected to reflect on their experience and their own knowledge, to share their ideas with their classmates, and then share their ideas with all the students that are participating in the lesson at any given time. The first module offers an introduction to sustainability and to the idea of Hållbar Interiör. Sustainability is obviously a complex term. There are many different ways to define it. There is an emphasis in this module on the definition of sustainability, which challenges people to think beyond the local and beyond the present when determining priorities for an interior design project. So whereas in the past, the priorities for interior design were right here, right now, a sustainable project might ask, what would it mean if our priorities were 50 years, 100 years into the future, and for a much larger area than right here? So what are the consequences at a global scale for the decisions that we're making here in this interior design project? The second module is about the circular economy and sustainability standards generally. In this module, we draw from the 3 dimensions of circularity. This is a concept developed by my colleagues and I at RISE Research Institutes of Sweden that breaks down the circular economy into some bigger strategies that can be used in interior design, but also in other industries. There is also some discussion about the meaning of the circular economy and how the concept of the circular economy has evolved in recent years. There's a lot of reflection in this particular module, and this module could be useful for lectures that are not necessarily in interior design, but of course the focus comes back to interior design in the end. The third module is about the criteria selection methodology that was used in the larger Hållbar Interiör project. We took a lot of time and we thought very thoroughly about the criteria that were ultimately chosen during the Hållbar Interiör project. We think that it's important that students understand this whole process rather than just assuming the criteria came magically from some secret source. In reality, the criteria selection methodology took an entire year. The process began with an academic literature review, and then we developed a comprehensive list of criteria. Those criteria were evaluated by the project consortium, and then we had 7 rounds of discussion over an entire year to ultimately set on the criteria that were selected for this round of the Hållbar Interiör project. So this module is a discussion of that methodology so that students understand where these criteria come from. The fourth module actually discusses the criteria. So while Module 3 describes how we chose the criteria, Module 4 gives the criteria to students translated into Swedish or English and allows them to explore and evaluate the criteria themselves. This is probably the most detailed lesson, and it involves some critical thinking about whether the Hållbar Interiör criteria meet standards of good criteria generally. Finally, in Module 5, we apply the criteria to some real interior design case studies. We took advantage of our consortium and we found real-world case studies from Sweden. And as part of these modules, we are asking students to evaluate these case studies based on a set of Hållbar Interiör criteria. So we ask students to apply an abridged version of these criteria to some actual case studies. Now I'd like to take a moment to explore some of the features of the PowerPoint files that are included as part of the modules. I'll be using Module 2, but the features are the same across all the different modules. Each file begins with a PowerPoint slide that explains basically what I'm explaining right now. These are slides that should probably be deleted when you're presenting these to students. So this slide, for example, says that the project is funded by Vinnova, a little bit of background about the development of the project, that there are 5 modules, and that they can be accessed in either Swedish or English. Something that you'll also notice is that we have included notes to instructors at the bottom of several of the PowerPoint slides. These notes generally describe what our intentions were for including any particular slide. These notes also include some academic references and some further information that you can use to prepare to deliver this lesson if you want. In the beginning of each module, there's also a slide that describes our intentions with regard to active and reflective learning. As an instructor, you're welcome to include this in your lesson, but this is also a reminder to the instructor rather than to the students that this lesson is intended to inspire interaction among the students rather than be consumed alone at home or in isolation from a classroom. Every module has a set of objectives that describes what our intentions were for including the module generally and in the context of the broader set of modules. Here is an example of an interactive exercise which we hope that the instructor facilitates with students. There is a note at the top of the slide to the students that says, think and note to yourself what is required to keep people alive in this city. And then here in the notes, there's some advice to the instructor about what students could do. The hope is that the students would take a moment and brainstorm. They might, for example, think about the food, the animals, the building materials, anything that is required to keep people alive inside of a medieval city. And the intention is that they begin to think of all of the resources that come in and all of the wastes that go out. Then the intention is that the students would share these ideas with a classmate and then inspire discussion within the broader classroom based on the smaller discussions that students have had with 1 or 2 people. Here is an example of a multiple choice question that we've developed. This is to quiz the students to get them assessing their own knowledge. This one asks, which of the following is an example of an interior space that maximizes the circularity dimension endurance? And then the instructor can reveal that the correct answer is C. So the answers are included as part of the presentation. And then there's a brief explanation about why this answer is the correct answer in the notes below. At the end of this lesson, there is a more open-ended exercise also intended to stimulate discussion. This is also based on the 3 dimensions of circularity. And the purpose of this exercise is to get students to think about how different stakeholders within interior design can maximize or impact these different dimensions. There is no correct answer to this. The purpose is for students to think on their own and to share ideas with classmates and then the rest of the class.
Thank you. We hope this video has been useful and that you will be able to use the educational modules in your classroom. As always, we are interested in your feedback. Please let us know how we can improve this material and how you've used this material. This will be useful when we update the material in the future. Please visit the Hållbar Interiör website under the Utbildning section for any updates.